Have you guys ever heard of doom scrolling? Well, I haven't, I'm sorry, I'm a boomer. Apparently doom scrolling is when you mindlessly scroll through your phone to get rid of your boredom, and then before you know it, you end up on some finance video on YouTube at 2 a.m. knowing you should probably get to sleep or else you'll regret it. Welcome to the real. Well, now apparently there's something even worse than doom scrolling, and it's called doom spending.
Tonight we have a new financial term to add to our vocabulary, doom spending.
Doom spending is about to give Dave Ramsey a heart attack because according to the latest data from the National Retail Federation, 2023 was a record-breaking year with over 200 million shoppers buying gifts for the holidays, and the average consumer spent over $320 on gifts, with most of that counted by clothing, followed by toys, gift cards, books, and personal care products. I swear, they get you with that expensive anti-aging cream. That stuff is miracles. But analysts are expecting that this year's holiday shopping will put the total consumer spending at close to $1 trillion. But hold on a minute. What is doom spending? Vsauce, Andrei here. Doom spending is when our anxiety and worries about the economy triggers us to spend money so we could live more in the moment to ease our stress. So Americans are definitely spending money, which isn't all that different from what Americans usually do anyway. So why is this time different, and why is it called doom spending? It's called that because if you were to ask the average person what they thought about the economy, 96% of people would tell you that they're worried about it.
But a new study from Intuit Credit Karma found that while almost all Americans, at 96%, are concerned with the state of our economy, about 27% of Americans are doom spending.
That's 9.6 people out of every 10, which is, oh, hi, Rito. Oh, yes, 9.6. Doom spending? I don't have to do that. I'm so cute and spoiled. But data does back up American concerns about the economy. Credit card debt is now at an all-time high with over $1 trillion. Interest rates are also extremely high, which is bad because roughly a third of Americans have taken on more debt in the last 6 months. And if that wasn't bad enough, the American dream now costs $3.4 million. So in today's video, I want to show you the latest findings about the economy and show you the breakdown of the new American dream and how much it really costs. So let's get into it. Hi, my name is Andrei Jikh. Hope you're doing well. Come for the finance and stay for the doom spending. Now, most of the doom spending that economists observe happening is, maybe not surprisingly, mostly done by Gen Z and millennials. In fact, 73% of Gen Z say that they would rather live in the moment than spend less money.
This is a $500 a plate dinner.
What's down for 4?
In case we want seconds.
And on one hand, that makes sense, and I can see how spending money might feel like it's the solution, especially when the biggest concerns are not having enough high-paying jobs, decreased wages, and overall job security. In fact, more than half of Americans today say they have less than $2,000 in savings or nothing at all, which is true for 1 in 5 Americans. And a lot of Americans are also reporting that they're spending more money now than they were 6 months ago. And that also lines up with the data, which shows personal savings rates are down to an extremely low 3.8%. And let me just paint a picture and show you what that number actually means as far as how long you'll need to work for if you save only 3.8% per year. I'm gonna use averages here because I wasn't able to find the median spending, so it's not gonna be 100% accurate, but it's gonna be close enough to give you an idea of how much money you'll actually need. The average household income, for example, remember, not individual income, whole household, was $94,000 before taxes in 2022, while the average household spending was almost $73,000. So now let's play Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. I'm Regis Philbin, you're in the hot seat, and I'm asking you, how much money do you need in your stonk portfolio to make you passively $73,000 per year so you can quit your job? Is it A, $1.125 million, B, $1.825 million, C, $3 million, or D, all in on Dogecoin? Press the like button to lock in your answers now. The answer is $1.825 million. And the math is super easy. All I did was I took the expenses of $73,000 and multiplied by 25 to get the number. Now this formula is the same for everyone, regardless of how much they make or they save. So that right there tells you that how much money you spend has a lot to do with how much you need. So if we can lower our spending to below $73,000, we won't need an almost $2 million nest egg. But let's just assume for the sake of argument, we absolutely need to spend $73,000 a year. In that case, let's get a little more detailed. Let's say I'm starting this scenario at the age of 30, but I also have a $40,000 401k portfolio, which apparently is the average for ages 30 to 40. And because I watch all of my nerdy finance videos on YouTube and I smash the like button, let's say I invest into low-cost, broad market index funds with a 6% return per year adjusted for inflation. But because I can't control my spending, I'm only saving 3.8% per year. Once ChatGPT runs those numbers for me, it tells me that I need to save for 51 years until I'm 81 years old. And I'll tell you what, that sounds kind of depressing. But watch how much less I have to work if I can bump up my savings rate from 3.8 to let's say 10%. I would only have to work for 40 years. If I can bump that up to 20%, only 31 years. At a 30% savings rate, 26 years. At 40, 23 years, and at 50, only 20 years of working. So the most important thing is not necessarily how much money you're making. That matters, but even more importantly, because it's even easier to control for us, is to pay attention to how much money you are spending. But let's assume you're not a nerd who watches finance videos at 2 a.m. It's about to get a little more depressing because if you want a house, 2 kids, and a car, which in this article is defined as the American dream, even though technically the American dream means anyone can find success regardless of where they come from, according to this article, it now costs more than what the average person will make throughout their entire lifetime. Exactly $3.4 million, even though the average person across all education levels will make only $2.3 million throughout their lifetime. And that's before taxes. George Carlin once said that it's called the American dream because you'd have to be asleep to believe in it. And even though he was my favorite comedian of all time, I'm gonna prove him wrong, but I first wanna show you the craziness of some of these numbers and then later show you that it's actually not as bad as what it seems. But first, let's start with education. Because if you want a 4-year in-state college education, that will cost an average of $42,000. But you can't just go to college unless you have a car, and that costs over $271,000. Because you can't just drive a Lexus when a Lamborghini Urus is so much nicer. No, that data is just assuming 10 car purchases over someone's lifetime spanning 60 years, assuming you buy a car that's 6 years old and you plan to keep it for at least 6 years. And obviously that number goes way down if you plan to keep your cars for a lot longer, or if you just want to ride a bicycle to school. But let's say you plan on meeting that special someone and you want to have a wedding. You can't get caught riding a moped. So expect to pay close to $36,000 on average for tying the knot. And if you want to buy a house, that will cost close to $800,000. By the way, that's not the actual price of the house itself. Instead, it's taking the total amount, factoring in all the interest payments over the lifetime of the loan at current interest rates and today's average prices. But let's say you also decide to have 2 kids. That will cost you an average of $5,700 for the birth of 2 of them. But raising them until they're 18 has an average cost of $576,000 based on 2015 data but adjusted for inflation. The solution? Don't have kids, which is exactly what we're doing now. In fact, there's a population crisis that Nick Cannon will solve on his own, so don't even worry about it. But can you imagine trying to explain this to future civilizations? Like, hey, why did human beings go extinct at some point? Well, it just got too expensive to have a life. Yeah, what? I'm sorry. If you want to have pets, that costs $68,000 on average. And if you want health insurance in your life, that has a lifetime cost of $934,000. And I'm not exactly sure how they got that number, but assuming a family of 4, each paying $500 a month, that's $24,000 a year for 40 years. Yep, the math checks out. So the solution, super easy. Just don't plan on getting sick and don't get old. But then when you're finally ready to retire and you're ready to live for another 12 long years, you'll need almost $716,000 in your portfolio. And of course, that number means absolutely nothing because it depends on how much money you think you'll spend and how long you think you'll live for. Because the truth is, most Americans can retire tomorrow if they wanted to, so long as they plan to kick the bucket next week. And when they do, funeral costs will be almost $8,000 on average. Now overall, that adds up to a little over $3.4 million, which is an insane amount of money to anyone at any time. And before you click away from this video thinking it's all hopeless and you'll never get there, don't. Because what if I was to tell you, if you bought my course down below, I'm just kidding. If you could save a little over $18,000 per year, which works out to a little over $1,500 a month, and if you started at age 22 and you finished at age 65, a full 43-year-long career, And if the worst was to happen, Bitcoin goes to zero, the market doesn't do anything special other than what it always does, a yearly return of 6% adjusted for inflation. If you can do that consistently for 43 years, you'll have $3.4 million. And it gets easier, because if you're lucky enough to find someone to share your life with who will put up with you forever, easier said than done for me, then those contributions are made even easier because they're cut by half. And if you can only save 10% of your income, that's fine, but you better be making over $180,000 a year. And if you can save 30% of your income, you can make just a little over $60,000 a year and still achieve this. Now, whenever I feel stuck, and this is true, this is something I actually do, I'll close my eyes and I picture myself in the future. Because somewhere out there is an Andrei that's extremely happy and grateful and fulfilled, and is super thankful for the Andrei of today that made the decisions that led him to become the person that he is in the future. And I'll work backwards from there, and I'll figure out what decisions did I make to get there because I already exist. For some reason, doing this exercise makes it easier to get through anything in life, whether it's trivial, like going to the dentist, or thinking about retirement. The point is that there is a you out there somewhere in the future who's waiting on you to work backwards from where you are today. So think about this, try this exercise, and see if it works for you as well as it does for me. And as always, I hope you got some value out of this. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Smash the like button, subscribe if you haven't already. Grab your free stocks, links are down below. Track them automatically with a spreadsheet link down below in my Patreon. Love you, thank you so much for watching this video. I'd love to see you back here on Monday and Friday, sometimes on Wednesday. See you soon, bye-bye.